So National Signing Day has not disappointed thus far, and given that it's about the midway point through the day, I figured it's time for us to sit down and talk about some of the big moves that have occurred. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. And are you happy with how National Signing Day has happened thus far? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification because I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy the content, like and comment down below. Those interactions may seem small, but they are massive to content creators such as myself in both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all of that being said, we need to hop right into this, and we will start in the Big 12, where the Oklahoma Sooners have officially put pen to paper with the #1 prospect in the state of Oklahoma, Gentry Williams, an incredibly important piece to the Brent Venables Oklahoma class. And Gentry Williams was a really unique prospect for several different reasons. First and foremost, anytime you get somebody with his athletic ability and the ability to play multiple positions at such a high level, that's a guy that you absolutely want in your class. But also because of the whole Lincoln Riley saga. If we actually look, Gentry Williams at one point was between Oklahoma and USC, and whenever Alex Grinch, Lincoln Riley, Roy Manning went to USC, one had to question, what does this mean for Gentry Williams? Ultimately, though, he chose to stay a Sooner, and if you are a defensive prospect and you look at the hires the Sooners have made, I can understand why it would be exciting and wanting to play for that group. So a great addition for Oklahoma, being able to keep in the #1 player in the whole state, Gentry Williams, and he's going to be a massive piece for the Sooners moving forward. But if we stay in the Big 12, there's more movement because former Texas cornerback Ronald Lewis has flipped from Texas to TCU. Ronald Lewis, being a 3-star prospect from New Orleans, is a big win for the TCU staff as they look to kick off a new era. TCU is a team we have to watch going into next year because the Big 12 in its entirety is going to be very interesting. Oklahoma with a brand new coaching staff, Oklahoma State dealing with some coaching turnover themselves, Texas trying to rebuild, Baylor being a team that looks to be in a good position, but we need to see how they end up coming out next year, TCU having a new coaching staff, Iowa State figuring out how they're going to replace all this talent. So the Big 12 has a lot of intriguing storylines in it, and for TCU to be able to go out and get a talented player such as Ronald Lewis is great for the Horned Frogs. But it wasn't all great news for the Horned Frogs because they lost out on running back Ajay Allen to Nebraska, and Nebraska is having themselves a day because not only did they get in Ajay Allen, but then they also got in Janarian Bonner. And Bonner is an intriguing prospect at the wide receiver position. And it's going to be interesting to see how these moves can lend themselves to success for Scott Frost, because this is a big year for Frost in Nebraska. Nebraska may not have had the season they liked last season, but there were signs, there were glimpses of a team that may be able to make some strides going forward. They've been able to utilize the transfer portal well, and with these additions, this is what you'd like to see if you are a Nebraska fan. So I am very interested in how these play out. But now we need to turn our attention to the Pac-12 because Oregon has made some moves in flipping 4-star running back Jordan James from Georgia. And this isn't hyper surprising when you take a look at the entirety of the situation. Dan Lanning going from Georgia to Oregon, so there's already some familiarity with an assistant coach that is now the head coach of Oregon. Jordan James is a massive addition for the Oregon Ducks, especially with all that they have lost with the move Mario Cristobal made moving from Oregon to Miami, and then Travis Dye entering himself into the transfer portal, Dye being one of the more talented running backs in the nation. Oregon is very happy that they get in the commitment and are able to flip Jordan James, very talented running back, and someone we need to keep an eye on because I think he could be a difference maker in the very near future for the Ducks. Speaking of Mario Cristobal, we need to now talk about Miami and the ACC because they have made some moves and they're in line for some other big prospects, and we need to keep an eye on that. But earlier today, they got in a commitment from 4-star running back Trevante Citizen over the likes of Auburn, LSU, and Florida. And anytime you're able to beat out those teams, it's awesome. But anytime you're able to lift a recruit out of Louisiana while simultaneously beating LSU for that recruit, it's even sweeter. Now, Cristobal is a name we have to watch because it's going to be interesting to see if he can galvanize Miami. We know the program Miami was not that long ago, and it's been an attempt to get back to that stage ever since. Mario Cristobal has a history of being a very good recruiter, and now it's going to be interesting to see how that translates not only for Miami, but in trying to lock down as much as you can the state of Florida. But lastly, we need to end in the SEC as Georgia continues to pile on to their class, having the number 3 class in the nation, and it doesn't stop getting in Christian Miller on the defensive front of that class. Christian Miller, one of the more touted prospects in this recruiting cycle, is adding in necessary depth for the Georgia Bulldogs in a class in which they already have a good amount of depth in that area. So what Georgia does and continues to do going forward is going to be a point of intrigue, but this is a very talented roster, and getting in a guy such as Christian Miller only adds in more extreme talent to an already extremely talented roster. So National Signing Day is just about the halfway point in the day. Several moves have been made, and we are going to be back very soon talking about more. But until then, hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.